He recently bid adieu to cricket. He had played for over 25 years. 15 of those were spent playing for India. Now he's a retired cricketer, Gautam Gambhir, after many honours, 2 World Cup medals, 2 IPL titles. But to talk about the road ahead, we have Gautam with us. Gautam, thank you very much for joining us. You're just 37 years old and it says you're a retired cricketer. What does the road ahead look like? Because I don't feel like calling you a retired person.
Look, like one thing I can say with a lot of peace is that there's a lot of pressure that's off my shoulder now. Obviously, then I can spend time with my young family as well. Plus, obviously, when I was playing, I wanted to be the best cricketer till the last day of my cricketing career. Whether I was playing for India, I wasn't playing for India, it really didn't matter to me. For me, I think even when I was playing Ranji Trophy or IPL, I wanted to be the best in whatever I do. So obviously, I used to push myself like that, being the best cricketer. But then once you retire, obviously, there's a lot of, I think, pressure which is off your shoulder. You don't have to keep fighting day in, day out. When you go to the gym, when you go to the gym, you don't go with that kind of mindset of becoming the best in your own profession. But yes, when you go now, obviously, that the pressure is off, and you go and you just try and be as fit as you can rather than having that pressure.
Gautam, this is not something that is associated with the Indian cricketers. Your contemporaries are still playing. I had heard that Adam Gilchrist, when he had dropped that catch of Lakshman, is a point when he had decided to retire. He was probably playing his 98th test match. But did you have a rethink about it before you declared that it was
not at all? I think for me the most important thing was always to play for India. It wasn't about playing Ranji Trophy or IPL. And when I realized that obviously even by scoring runs in first class cricket will not take me anywhere forward, there was no point scoring runs, because I've not grown up thinking that I want to score 20,000 international runs or 20,000 first class runs, because that didn't matter. That is only about putting those runs in your records, and I've never played for something like that. For me, I think it was about doing something really special for the country.
We all remember your Napier knock in 2009. What does it take for a modern day cricketer who plays 3 versions of the game to play a knock like that?
Look, depends in what kind of era you've grown up. I think when I was growing up, obviously there was no T20 cricket. Plus, I think Test cricket was something which I always trained for. I went for practice thinking that I want to do well in Test cricket. I would not bat for 3 hours thinking that I just want to face 50 balls in a T20 game, because that is not worth practicing for 3 hours. So I was grown up thinking that this is the only format where I've got the opportunity to score double hundreds. I can bat as long as I can, depending what kind of a temperament and technique do I have. So obviously Napier was something which was very special, and also very special because I had to beat my own self. I had to beat my own temperament as well. Obviously I was never a very patient boy. I was very impatient, sometimes very flashy while playing my cricket as well, sometimes just taking on the bowlers as well. But when I got that opportunity to try and beat my own personality, that was something which was very, I think, satisfying.
So what would you say that was one of the highlights of your career?
Absolutely, and not only because we ended up winning, because I was able to beat my own self as well. I was able to beat my own temperament, my own character. And so that is when I realized after that knock that there is so much inside a human body and in a human mind that he can achieve whatever he wants to. So before that, I could never even imagine that I can go on to bat for 2.5 days. And that was probably my first overseas tour as well. I've been to South Africa but didn't play the 3 test matches. So this was my first overseas tour as an opening batsman. So after that knock, I realized that yes, that from there on I thought that the entire thing changed, especially in test format for me.
You've been to New Zealand once, you've been to Australia once, if I'm not mistaken. You've been to England twice. Would you say that for a cricketer to succeed in these conditions, you need a couple of tours, and which is why, some of the Indians who are touring right now, particularly our captain Virat Kohli on his 3rd tour, it's a better chance for him and some of his mates to succeed.
Absolutely. I think I'm not going to take anything away from people who've toured 2 or 3 times in overseas conditions and have done well. Obviously, even if when you're 25, 26 or even 28, an overseas tour is an overseas tour. It's not like you've been accustomed to playing on those kind of wickets as well. I've been to South Africa only once, New Zealand once, Australia once, I think, and England only twice. So obviously it was equally tough for me as well. And obviously South Africa I did reasonably well when I got 3 half centuries in 4 innings. Then New Zealand was good as well. Australia was on and off, obviously got 1 good inning and then obviously had the starts as well. But I'm just saying it just gives you better opportunities. You just prepare yourself better when you go the second time, because you end up knowing the conditions better, you end up knowing the atmosphere better as well. It's not only about conditions, it's not only about the surfaces which you play on. There's so many other factors that are involved. the ground, the crowd, the entire feel of the stadium and everything plays a huge role as well. And it's not like that when you're playing home, you've always used to those kinds because you play so much of first-class cricket here as well. So for anyone, when they go twice or thrice, it gives them a better opportunity to go out there and score runs.
Now, you've been a part of the #1 Indian team, Test #1 team. In fact, 2009, you were a part of the team when India became #1. Would you say that this is the best #1 team? Ravi Shastri said that it's the best touring side in 15, 20 years. What do you have to say?
No, that is what Ravi Shastri has to decide, and that is what people need to decide as well. People will make huge statements. People are bound to make huge statements when they're involved with the team as well. Ultimately, it's the public, it's the people who needs to decide that who's been... Personally, if you ask me, there has been no best in, teams which has toured abroad. Ultimately, it's the results that matter. And even if you've got the results in your favor, there's always room for improvement as well. The moment you start talking about you being the best touring side ever to tour overseas, it means there's a stagnation that is coming on. And you've got to be humble in your achievements as well. When we ended up winning in New Zealand, neither MS Dhoni, neither Gary Kirsten ever gave a statement that it is the best team, Indian team touring abroad. Even when we won a CB series in Australia, even when we drew a series in South Africa. So I think you've got to be humble in your success. Plus, obviously, we haven't achieved so much of success overseas. We've lost in South Africa. We've had a shocker in England. So saying this, obviously, it's got to be very childish from my point of view.
So would you say that India's success rate could be higher in Australia this time around? Because, you know, it really comes down to Australia's batting that isn't that great at this time around.
Plus, obviously, they've got the two best players not there as well. And it's a massive advantage for India. Plus, India's got a bowling attack as well. Look, I think it's both ways. Australia doesn't have the batting lineup. Plus, India's got the bowling attack to take 20 wickets, which India's been very fortunate. Virat Kohli has been very fortunate. Plus, a credit needs to go to Virat Kohli for identifying these kind of bowlers as well and sticking to them as well. And not many a times when India's toured abroad that we've had the bowling lineup to take 20 wickets. We were always dependent on one or two bowlers. But if you see this kind of a lineup, I think people contribute together to take 20 wickets. So it's about, I think, India putting runs on the board, and you've got the bowling attack to get 20 wickets. Plus, I think Australia doesn't have the two best batters. If you don't have the two best batters in Test cricket, you can manage in T20 and one-day cricket.
How much credit will you give to Virat Kohli for, getting together this team, the team that has now gone to Australia, the Virat Kohli and the team management?
Look, I think MS has stuck to these players as well. I think most of these players came under MS Dhoni, and then Virat has just taken over from there. Yes, you got to give him credit that he's stuck to these kind of players. He's identified these players and he's stuck to it. So there's no doubt that we got to give him credit, and especially from the bowler's point of view, he's identified these 4 or 5 fast bowlers who he feel that probably completes the entire attack as well, and they're good enough for any conditions as well, and that is something which is very important. Plus, these guys have got the experience now. Ishant Sharma is 90 Test matches old. Mohammad Shami's got 38 or 40 Test matches. Umesh Yadav the same. Bhuvneshwar Kumar the same. The only inexperienced fast bowler you've got, plus who's your X factor, is Jasprit Bumrah. But the kind of bowler he is,
Would you say he's leading the pace attack?
I think he's probably the best fast bowler in the world right now in all the 3 formats. If you see Test cricket, one-day and white ball cricket, he's probably the best. He is the best fast bowler in the world going around, because he's someone who's giving you that X factor. Look at his performance in South Africa, in England and in Australia. I think he's stood out from the rest of the pace attack, and he's your go-to bowler as well. And especially when he's only 6 or 7 Test matches old, and if he becomes the leader of your attack, this shows the quality of a bowler.
If Virat Kohli is to become the best Indian captain in terms of achievement, would you say it's the bowling attack that he has that will lead him there?
He's very fortunate to have this kind of a bowling attack, and I think if he doesn't deliver with this kind of a bowling attack, it's going to be very difficult for India to deliver in future as well, because most of these guys, you never know 4 years down the line at what stage would they be at, and age do play a huge difference when you're a fast bowler. So they're at the peak of their careers. Most of these fast bowlers, probably all the 4 are at the peak of their career. They've got the experience as well. So if India can't win overseas now, it's going to get even more difficult going forward, because once these guys go into a decline, then it's going to be the same way what used to happen a couple of years back, where you were so much dependent on someone like Zaheer Khan when it comes to Test cricket. You were so heavily dependent. If Zaheer would deliver, India would end up winning the Test series abroad. Plus, there were other guys who could contribute with Zaheer Khan. But these guys, all of them are so good at the moment that India doesn't need to worry about taking 20 wickets.
Talking about captains, who's the best one you have played under?
Anil Kumble. I think he hasn't captained much for India, but then I've played 5 test matches under him, and the most unfortunate thing that happened to Indian cricket was that he couldn't captain India for a very long time.
And what about him being
just the leader? I think just the kind of man he is, just the kind of just the way he led, just the way he played his game, as honest as he could be, as selfless as he could be. So this is probably the 2 qualities which a leader needs to have. One is being absolute honest to his own profession and his own self, plus being selfless, and he had both the qualities, and the kind of man manager he was. I think what I just said, that Kumble not captaining India for a very long time is Indian cricket's loss, not his loss.
Well, you know, when he became the manager of the Indian cricket team, many said he was like a headmaster. While he was a captain, did those qualities show up?
Absolutely not. He was hard on the cricket field, and you expect your leader to be hard on the cricket field, but he was as jovial as he can be off the field as well. You could just walk up to him, you could just go to him in his room and just chat about anything, and that is the kind of person you want, that you could just go and be kind of a friend or kind of a father figure off the field, because when he captained the side, I was a youngster, and he was kind of a father figure to me, and then he was a hard taskmaster on the cricket field as well, and you want a leader like that, I think.
So then would you say that it is unfortunate for Indian cricket to not have a coach like
Absolutely.
him?
I think that is the darkest phase of Indian cricket, the way the entire episode planned out to be, because you can't treat your biggest match winner ever like this, and there will be people who've scored 20,000, 30,000 runs, and there will be people who will score those kind of runs as well, but if there has been a biggest match winner India has ever produced, that's been Anil Kumble. He's the legend of the game, and you can't treat your legends like this. I think his record speaks for him. I think whenever he's, till the time he's coached Indian team, the results have gone India's way. So I don't think so there was any reason for him to be removed, and that probably is the most unfortunate thing that's happened in Indian cricket.
A similar drama is playing out in women's cricket as well.
If a captain doesn't get along with the coach, I think a coach is not only for a captain, it's for the entire team as well. I think a board needs to think from the entire team's point of view, not just from the captain's point of view. Okay, or not just from the senior player's point of view. If one player is not happy with an ex-individual, I think if the rest of the 14 are absolutely fine with it, I think you got to be liberal on that front as well. Just because I have issues with you doesn't mean all the rest of the 14 have issues with you. I think all the rest of 14 are absolutely fine with you. I think I should be the first one to try and bridge that gap. I think I need to solve those differences of opinion. So I think even in the women's thing, if a senior player's got issue with the coach, I think they both should sit down and try and sort out those issues. If the entire 14 is happy with the coach, I think coach is doing the right thing. It's about thinking about the entire team, not about one individual. I think you got to let the egos away, and it's for the better interest of the team, and it's the national team as well.
Gautam, talking about captains and way things should be led, Virat Kohli probably sets an example. He not just sets an example by the way he bats, but also his fitness standards. And he expects everyone in the team to be as fit as he is. You know, you've also gone through the era when there were bleep tests and yo-yo tests. Is it very difficult as a cricketer to subscribe to those standards day in and day out? And how much does performance get affected by certain standards that are set by the team management?
Look, I'm all for setting benchmarks. I think I'm all for it. I think if Virat Kohli or a team management have set benchmarks, I think you got to achieve it if you want to play for India. It should not come on a platter for you, and it should not come on a platter for anyone. I'm all for it. And but yes, if you ask me, I will not completely believe on just the fitness stuff. There are trainers there in international setup. If you're not fit enough, you should be given a time frame that you got to get yourself fit within this time frame. If you don't do it, then they will not be considered for selection. Suppose if there's a yo-yo test, and if you're not able to achieve that benchmark, so you should be given a time frame probably for a month, and say that if you don't achieve this benchmark within a month's time, I think in future we will not select you for the national team. But if yo-yo test is the only criteria for your selection, that is something which is little harsh on the player as well, because if you go through the entire grind of first class cricket, sometimes it's really difficult to maintain that fitness as well. It's not about international cricket. When you play 6 months of first class cricket and the entire domestic season, then the IPL, obviously for any young cricketer to achieve that fitness can be tough. So there are trainers there in the international team as well. It's his job to make people fit. And if someone is not willing to push himself and not willing to achieve that target, then he should not be considered. So he's got to be given that little bit of a time frame plus a little bit of, I think, luxury to go out there and get better on his fitness.
One of the Achilles heel that this team probably has are the openers. India is not getting its openers right, perhaps in Test cricket I'm talking about. What is it that, set the Sehwag-Gambhir pair apart, and why did your chemistry work the way it worked?
First of all, you've got to be patient with the openers. I think it's the toughest job in international cricket, especially in Test cricket. When you go into an unknown territory, you don't know how the wicket's going to behave. Plus, it's a red ball which does everything possible, and it is so unpredictable. So you've got to be patient with your openers. You can't be so critical of them. And one thing is that, and the second thing is, whoever you play, I think you've got to be patient with them. You can't just keep playing the musical chair with people. I think when it's the toughest job, you got to give that someone a little bit of leverage as well. Plus,
so you think India should have persisted with Shikhar Dhawan in the opening slot?
Look, I'm not saying that. It is up to the team management to decide who they want to stick to. And what I feel a little bit wrong was that if Murli Vijay was in the scheme of things, they shouldn't have dropped him in England. They should have continued to be him to be part of the team. And I feel very sorry for someone like Mayank Agarwal because he was picked for the West Indies series, and then he wasn't taken to Australia without even playing in that series. So you're literally telling a young cricketer who's scored thousands and thousands of runs that you're only good enough to be part of in the subcontinent conditions. You're not good enough to be doing well in overseas conditions, and that means that it is really tough on a young kid, because if you pick someone, he should be good enough to do well in every condition. So irrespective of whether it's Australia, whether it is India, whether it is South Africa. But if you pick someone after him scoring thousands of runs and without even making him play, you drop him for the overseas series, which is very unfortunate. So that's the reason why I said that if you picked someone, you pick someone with faith, not hope that I hope that he delivers. So I feel very unfortunate for him. Hopefully his time comes and he should be given the same amount of innings, the kind of innings probably Murli Vijay, Shikhar Dhawan or KL Rahul is getting.
Gautam, switching tracks, cricket has changed from the time you started playing. Also because, there are a lot of things that happen outside the cricket field, distractions like Twitter. How is it for you being, a celebrity being on Twitter, on social media platforms?
It depends. How do you want to treat that platform as well? I think for me, it was not about just wishing happy birthdays to my colleagues or whatever, just wishing them or cracking a joke. I think Twitter is a very important platform. Personally for me, because if I can take up certain issues, which I can take up social issues as well, me being a citizen, it's my responsibility to take up certain issues and social issues. So that is how I consider Twitter to be. I'm not on Twitter thinking that, okay, I'm just going to keep increasing my followers and I'm going to do something which increases my followers and all that stuff. For me, I think it's about putting my opinion on a platform like Twitter, and people can agree, people cannot agree, that's up to them.
We've seen you take on from Delhi CM to the Cricket Association of Bengal. How is it, projecting that image of Gautam Gambhir?
I've tried to be as honest as I can, and I believe in what I tweet. It's not like I tweet just for the heck of it and just try to take the limelight as well. I believe in what I said. I think when I was talking about the air quality in Delhi, it was not only for me. I think it is about the entire Delhi plus the next generation. What are we going to give it back to them? I think all we're leaving behind is a poison for them. So I think it is the responsibility of the government in power and people. There were a lot of people who criticized me as well, thinking that I'm pro A party and I'm anti someone else. Not at all. I think had it been Congress or BJP in the power, I would have questioned them as well. And not only because I'm a celebrity, because I've got the right, me being a taxpayer, me being a citizen of this country, me being a Delhi boy, has all the right to question the government in power, and they should be, I think, strong enough to answer it back as well, and with the valid answers. They should come back with the valid answers as well, which they've not done since last 4.5 years. So they should, I think, face the plant as well.
And what about Mohammed Azharuddin?
Because I believe in it. I think we all know, and people do not talk about it. That is not my problem. I think if people do not want to talk about it, that is up to them. Because I feel that yes, people spoke about that his ban was revoked by the Supreme Court, but the fact remains that I've gone through the entire report, and it says that only ban was revoked. He was never given a clean sheet. And the other thing was that because he was not given a clean sheet. The reason was because there is no such law that that says that match fixing had any punishment in this in India. So, and I believe that yes, I had no right to stop him from becoming an MP, because that is ultimately up to the people of this country to decide whether they want a member of parliament with that kind of a background. And yes, I was very upset from especially from the CAB and COA, because someone who's done something like this in his own profession, being a cricketer, there are so many other role models you could have asked to come and ring the bell. I think there are so many people. I would always prefer scoring 1 run of honesty than scoring 10,000 runs of dishonesty.
Gautam, we've come nearly towards the end of the interview. Couple of last questions. Since you've played cricket under the BCCI, what do you think about the functioning of the Committee of Administrators now, and how do you see cricket going forward in India?
Look, I hope they do a good job till the time they're there, which is very important, because ultimately it's not individuals who individuals have the responsibility to take care about cricket, because there are 130 million people who watch cricket and they are so passionate about the sport as well. So whether it is COA, whether it is the administrators, and whether it is the BCCI officials, the ultimate job is to help cricket blossom in India, and I think they should take up that responsibility.
And I'll end where I began. I can't call you a retired cricketer. So what next? Are you going to be the coach of Kings 11 Punjab? That's what everyone's talking about.
Where is it coming from? I don't know. I think probably.
No,
I think
you will have to
probably
tell me.
I had to. I just replied to their tweet. I just congratulated them. I just thanked them on their tweet, and that is where it is coming from. No, I haven't spoken to anyone about it. And to be honest,
but is coaching?
Look, I haven't honestly thought about it. So whatever next I do, I should be able to do with the same passion as well. The way I've played my game, the way I've played cricket as well, because that is something. I'm not someone who's going to keep switching on my profession. That today I do something and then I change something else in 2 years. So the next thing, whichever I do, obviously I'm going to try and do it with the same passion and try and do it for as long as I played the game.
Thank you very much for
Pleasure
joining and sharing your thoughts.
Pleasure.